guys, today we're taking a look at a sneaker that could be the next most hyped sneaker. Or it could end up like the Travis Scott trainers. Here we have the box, which I'm honestly just gonna say straight up is one of my favorite parts about this entire shoe. Don't know what that says about the shoes, but this box is really nice. You've got big CPFM vibes with like this Jack text and the Nike branding. Really nice color scheme of a light blue and sail. But yeah, other than the graphics, it is just a regular box, so nothing to get too crazy about. So let's pop the top and let me show you guys today's sneaker. It's the Travis Scott Zoom Field Jaxx. So here we have them. Honestly, looking very simple. Granted, this is probably the most simple colorway that we're gonna see on this shoe. But even from a branding perspective, the first thing that came to mind when I saw this pair of shoes was that if I just saw it on a shelf and didn't know that Travis Scott had anything to do with it, I would just think this is a Nike shoe. Nevertheless, 2024 has been a pretty massive year for Travis Scott. After he collaborated on a ton of super successful sneakers like the Jordan 1, the Jordan 4, the 6s, or some of the Nike models like the Air Maxes, the Air Force 1s, he now finally has his very own signature sneaker model with both Jordan Brand and Nike, meaning he now has two completely unique sneakers with both brands that were made specifically for him. So he's got the Jumpman Jaxx with Jordan Brand, and now this is the first signature Nike model called the Zoom Field Jaxx. Now, while the Jordan Jumpman Jaxx had a massive rollout earlier this year, Jordan Brand even created a whole trailer for them and released two colorways, this one hasn't quite rolled out fully yet. We're even yet to see a proper release of this shoe. They dropped them extremely limited, like we're talking about 100 pairs of this colorway. However, we are supposed to be getting two other ones this year, a Limelight Volt Green pair and a chocolate colorway.
Chocolate? Yeah! What are they selling? Chocolates!
So they potentially could drop these things again and have like a proper release, but as of right now, it's not confirmed. These retail at $170, which is definitely pricey. However, if you directly compare them to the Jumpman Jaxx at $200, it seems pretty fair. Now, what's interesting is that there's a ton of similarities between this sneaker and the Jumpman Jaxx. I guess it's not surprising. They're both Travis Scott signature sneakers, but it's almost like both of these shoes were made with the exact same blueprint. And just like how the Jumpman Jaxx wasn't really a new sneaker model, it was kind of just a new sneaker based on old Jordan models like the trainers or the Jordan 1s. This pair of shoes is also taking inspiration from old Nike models. To be specific, most of the inspiration for this design takes inspiration from the Spiridon. In fact, it has references to the Spiridon all over it, like this pull tab. It literally says Nike Air Zoom Spiridon on it. But oddly enough, it also takes some design elements from the Landshark baseball cleat from back in the 90s. But yeah, the Spiridon model that originally released in 1997, I don't think there's a huge coincidence that those are going to be making a huge return this year in 2024. So is this new sneaker model just kind of like a PR stunt to grab attention towards the Spiridon model in general for when that returns? Well, I'm sure that that is a big driving force of this model being attached to the Spiridon, but at the same time, there is a ton of differences between this shoe and a regular Spiridon. But if I had to give my honest first impressions of this sneaker, it was pretty disappointing. These do have some really good qualities about them, so I think as like a Nike product, they feel fine. But as a Travis Scott first signature sneaker model, I do feel pretty underwhelmed. So let's start with the materials. Overall, just feeling them around, like I feel like these materials could have been placed on just any old retro Nike sneaker. That's pretty much what they feel like. You get a mixture of leather and suede on here, so some of the base sailed leather material you find on the toe box, the medial panels, and of course around the back, and it feels okay, but again, nothing amazing. And then you get all of the suede overlays, which are literally all over this model, and it feels like that rougher suede that Nike and Jordan Brand place on some of their sneakers. The best example I could be like military Black Force. It's that same kind of rough suede. Again, not amazing, just kind of regular. Now that suede is also placed on this giant strap that goes right over the center of the shoe. This strap is connected to the rubber TPU material holding it down to the shoe itself with some kind of fabric and plastic mesh in the center. I think it's pretty interesting how Travis Scott went for a strap on both of his signature sneakers, and the Jumpman Jaxx also have this strap, so maybe he really likes straps.
What do you mean by that?
I personally don't mind it. It's kind of one of those things where like, yeah, sometimes I kind of like having a strap just for like the odd occasion, but other times I would just prefer a shoe without it. But yeah, I think the strap looks pretty cool when it's undone and you just wear it like that. For some reason, I just kind of like the look of that. But it definitely adds another weak point to this pair of shoes because over time, I could definitely see this Velcro tearing off from the shoe itself, especially because on this model, every time I've unstrapped it, I grab the actual Velcro itself. So I could feel like, oh, okay, I have to kind of move it around. They've stitched it too far into the Velcro, so there's like some of it hanging off. So you end up grabbing both pieces, both the attachment and the part that's actually on the shoe. As you pull it off, I think over time it's probably just going to tear off the shoe. Now, once you do open up the strap, you can kind of reveal the lacing structure, which is very, very just kind of retro Nike. It looks like a lot of other Nike shoes they've made. For example, like the Nike Field General is the first shoe that comes to mind. And that leads us up to the tongue, which has something else that we've seen from Nike countless times in the past, which is just raw exposed foam. You get a basic Nike tongue tag, which just literally says Nike, and then right on the side, which I almost missed, it does have the Cactus Jack branding embroidered in there, which is also sale like the rest of the shoe. But then this brings me to the point of branding. Like I said, it's pretty hard to tell that this is a Travis Scott sneaker just by looking at it. So no reverse swoosh is probably one of the biggest things. The reverse swoosh is kind of synonymous with Travis Scott sneakers at this point. So yeah, no reverse swoosh. You also get this tiny little Cactus Jack or Travis Scott emoji around the back, but again, that's embroidered with the same sale color, so it's hard to tell. You've got the Cactus Corporation branding on the bottom, which is a little bit random. It's the same kind of sub label that they released the Air Maxes and the trainers under, and that's pretty much it. The only other branding that you get on this shoe apart from that is literally underneath. It's very hidden underneath the strap. One of the shoes says shark and the other one says cactus, and that is it. No special insoles or anything like that. Now moving down to the midsole, this is the most familiar thing. If you look at a Spiridon shoe and you look at this, you can definitely see the comparisons with like the wavy lines that move throughout it. But underneath for the outsole, that's where this takes the craziest turn, because what you have here is something that looks very, very similar to a pair of cleats. So the base of it is this plastic material, which is what a lot of cleats have. And then on top of that, you get this rubber traction pattern, which is slightly raised off of the midsole. So literally it feels like you're kind of raised off of the ground by a little bit. And then just also the way that they've kind of designed this, and even the array that they're placed on this outsole, very, very similar to a pair of cleats. So yeah, very interesting choice. But hey, let's say you don't mind any of this, and let's say you don't even care about the branding. You just like the clean, minimal look of this shoe. Well, that's what brings me to probably the best thing that I can say about this pair of shoes, which is that they are pretty comfortable. Now, it's nothing mind-blowing, but they did add a surprisingly soft midsole cushioning to this. Like, it's way more comfortable than the Jumpman Jaxx sneakers, and a lot more comfortable than like a lot of Nike retro models with just a solid, you know, rubber outsole. These things are really nice and soft, like a foam. You also don't really feel the cleat-like outsole when you're walking around, so it's not that extreme. It's just, I guess, something that you can see visually, but overall not too bad. Now for sizing, I actually got a half size down because it was the only one I could get my hands on, and surprisingly they actually fit me perfectly. So I think that these do run a little bit large, so I would recommend for most people to actually half size down. However, they're definitely not the widest shoes. They are a little bit narrow, so if you are slightly more wider footed, I would just recommend staying with your true to size. But overall, I did really expect something just a little bit more from a signature sneaker from Travis Scott. Both this sneaker and the Jumpman Jaxx are fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. But at the same time, they do just kind of look and feel like most other Jordan or Nike shoes. There's nothing that different about them. And unlike the Jumpman Jaxx, I feel like this pair of shoes is probably going to end up with a similar kind of fate as the trainers did. Now, it's definitely not going to be that bad where retailers are like slashing prices and putting them on sale, but I don't think these are going to have anything close to the hype that some of the other Travis Scott models have gotten, like the Jordan 1s or the Air Maxes even. So resellers are probably not going to like this pair of shoes. But hey, what do I know? We're going to have to wait and see as this sneaker properly launches. But what I want to know is what you think about them. Let me know down in the comment section, and if you want to catch another video, click that one right over there.